Welcome, everybody. Thank you again for attending our afternoon update with regard to what the state is doing to prevent the spread of coronavirus here in Nebraska. And as always, I'm going to emphasize that we want people to continue to practice social distancing, physical distancing, thank you, Stan Klaus, that we are doing, and all the other things that will help make sure we slow the spread of the virus. And of course, this week and for the next 3 weeks, we're going to continue to focus on stay home, right? We start off the week by talking about stay home, stay healthy, stay connected. And then yesterday we talked about our 6 rules for staying home and keeping Nebraska healthy, right? So this is around work, but work from home, and stay socially distanced if you're working, if you have to go into the office place. Stay home and don't have any unnecessary trips outside the home. Shop, but shop once a week, and don't take the entire family. Be efficient about it. Those are the first 3. The 4th is help kids socially distance. So that means have the kids play at home, avoid playgrounds and group sports. 5th, help seniors. If our older Nebraskans need somebody to go shopping for them, that's a great way to help them stay at home. Or maybe they need errands run. But don't go visit a long-term care facility. And then number 6 is exercise at home or with an appropriate socially distanced exercise program or something you're going to do. But again, keep that social distance. Those are our 6 rules for Nebraskans to stay home and stay healthy. And of course, we're really focusing on the next 21 days. 21 days, we're day 1 of the 21 days to be able to stay home and stay healthy. So we want to continue to remind folks about that, and you will continue to hear about that throughout the rest of the month of April. Now, the first thing we want to hit upon, we talked about this last week, is the Google data, which tracks mobility. And we've got some good news from last week to this week with regard to improvements. So if you look, for example, with regard to retail and recreation, it's down 40%. Last week, we were down 36%. So we've seen improvement around this. Grocery and pharmacy is down 8%. It was around 9% down 9% last time. So, but still close in the category. Parks are only up 56%. So again, talking about if you go out, make sure you use the appropriate social distancing. And then I can't quite see it because of the way you set this up, Taylor. Hold on. Okay, let me just move these back a little bit. Okay, that's better. So, and then with regard to transits, in transit stations, probably not as important here in Nebraska as someplace like New York, but down 25% versus down the 18% it was last week. So again, improvement there. Workplaces down 27%. So again, this is people spending time in workplaces, the hours spent in workplace. That was down 24% before, so we've seen improvement there, down 27%. And then last week, you may recall, we were at plus 8% staying at home, and now we're up plus 9%. So again, heading the right direction there as well. So improvements in many of these categories with regard to the Google data. And this is just one of the ways that we can think about how are Nebraskans responding to the calls to do that social distancing, that physical distancing. And you can see that Nebraskans are making progress. So again, we want to continue to focus on 21 days to stay home and stay healthy, 12 rules to stay home and stay, the 6 rules to stay home and stay healthy that we just covered. So we want to continue to emphasize that and have Nebraskans think about those 6 rules. Next, we had a number of questions with regard to corrections and what we're doing with regard to the pandemic and the pandemic plans and so forth. So in a minute here, I'm going to call up Scott Frakes, our Director of Corrections, to talk about this. Now, what we have seen from Nebraskans is people coming together from both sides of the aisle to be able to address this public health emergency we have here in the state. What we've seen in Washington, D.C., though, is that some people have used this to push their agendas, whether it's vote all by mail or the Green New Deal or whatever. Here in Nebraska, we've had a small minority of people who have been pushing to release inmates early. This is something that has been going on for years here in the state, that a small minority of people have been pushing to release inmates early. First of all, the vast majority of Nebraskans do not believe that inmates should be released early. And when you think about that concept, it's really kind of irresponsible. Because if we release inmates early and they haven't gone through the programming necessary to be able to make sure they won't reoffend, they are much more likely to reoffend and just be back in the correction system. And that doesn't do anybody any good. And also, if you release inmates early and you release them without the resources to go back into the community, and they don't have the proper supports there, they are more likely, more at risk to, for example, get infected by the coronavirus, spread the coronavirus, and frankly, they will have the healthcare facilities available in our correction system that they may not have out in the community. So for everybody, we're just way better off that we continue to make sure we're taking care of our inmates, and Director Frakes will talk about that plan for what we're going to do with regard to the correction system. Now also, it's important to note in the correction system, we have continued to ask for money from the legislature to expand our capacity. In fact, we've asked for $170 million the legislature has given us. That's allowed us to add on about 260 beds, with another 100 beds that should come online this fall, with another 400 some beds that are scheduled to come over the next couple of years as we complete the construction of those. So we've asked for the resources to continue to expand that corrections facilities. The legislature's given them to us, and we continue to expand it. And that's not the only area. We continue to expand in other areas too, whether it's security and maintenance, investing in our teammates, all those areas we continue to invest in our correction system to be able to do it. And also, it's also important to note that we have the lowest rate of incarceration here in the state of Nebraska than any of the surrounding states. So we have a correction system that is taking care of our folks, that we have a plan for how we're going to deal with the corrections or with the pandemic that we're facing right now. And Director Frakes will come up and say a little bit about that. And then I actually have some other things that we're going to update on, and then we'll get into questions and answers. So, but before that, we'll go ahead and bring up Director Frakes to say a few words about what our plan is with regard to this pandemic and corrections.